As many? The chair recognizes the honorable member for East Grand Bahama.
Want to run the invalidations with my brother three times.
You brought up independence.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
We lost 2 hours because of that.
Madam Speaker, I Madam Speaker, it is again, Madam Speaker, a pleasure to and a privilege to speak Madam Speaker, it is again a privilege to be able to speak in this honorable House. I do not intend to be very long, but to say a few words in support of the application or the resolution to have a select committee appointed. Madam Speaker, I've heard the presentation of Freetown, and quite frankly, Madam Speaker, I am disappointed of the approach that I believe we have taken in this select committee debate. When we look at the issue of immigration and the impact of what is happening on the Bahamas today, and I quite frankly believe that most Bahamians, while it is of interest whether or not a political party supported the Constitution, didn't support the Constitution 50 years ago, I believe the public is far more interested in what any political party, any politician is going to do today, and what are the solutions that we are going to present today. And to use, and again, I'm not sure what the motive is, so I won't attempt to speak to what the motive of bringing this up, but quite frankly, it really has very little to do with the point that is being raised today.
Yes.
And very little to do with what the ordinary Bahamian is facing today.
Yes.
I wonder, though, if we were to meet, and I'm sure those on the other side meet them as we meet them. If we were to meet the ordinary Bahamian, and the ordinary Bahamians were sitting here today, and they ask us, what are we going to do about the immigration solution? And we answer them by saying, the other side didn't support this one, and the other side didn't support that one, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and you were wrong here, and you were wrong there. They're not interested
Not at all.
in that. I believe they genuinely would want us to come together and put ideas together for a solution.
Yes.
That immigration is one of those issues, like crime, like education,
Like hell.
like health, is one of those issues that, yes, there are times when we will come, when we can fight. And there are times when we can have the political debate. And there are times when we can throw our political punches. But there are also times when we put aside those political fights and we say, we all have a problem.
Yes. Yes.
And you may argue on your side that we are more to blame. We may argue on our side that you are more to blame. However, the blame game is a tired game. The blame game is one that does not solve problems. And but the point I am making is that what is being offered today, is for us to come together to provide solutions for a very serious and complex problem.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for
Could I get
Freetown.
some water,
This
please?
is what is being done.
Michelle?
The issue as put was simply that it hasn't been business the same for 40 years. At the same time, what was advanced is the government has put out its policy, the government is acting. If the member or anybody else wishes to influence government policy, the Prime Minister in his national address says he's open to it. So we're not standing around saying, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. We're pointing out that when people say, particularly Marco City, that we've all been doing the same thing for 40 years, that is not accurate. We're not blaming you for anything. We're just saying that when you say we've been doing the same thing for 40 years, that is not accurate.
Thank you, honourable member.
So, I genuinely believe we are missing an opportunity here. I participated, had the privilege of participating in 2 select committees. And those 2 select committees were brought forward by the opposition at the time. I was a member of the governing party at the time. But those 2 select committees were brought forward by the opposition at the time. The first was a select committee on crime that was brought forward by Bernard Nordich. And the second was a select committee that went to look into the sexual offenses that took place in the 8 Mile Rock School with respect to the teacher, Berbal, and that was led by the member for Angliston. As a first-time MP sitting on both of those select committees, they were an educational experience for me. But they were also very fulfilling for me because I was a backbencher at the time. I was the deputy speaker at the time. But it gave me an opportunity to have a say in an issue or in issues that I would not ordinarily have a say in. And let me just go through what we did in reference to the crime committee. One of the issues that was raised was that you had so many different reports and no one was doing anything with the reports. There were so many entities that produced reports, but those reports didn't seem to go anywhere or take us anywhere. And so the member, I believe the member for Bain and Grantstown at the time, Bernard Nordich, said we should bring all of these reports together and look and see whether those reports are still relevant and make recommendations under one report to the government so that we can move forward with respect to it. At that time, we heard witnesses from all over. We called the police commissioner who took the time to speak to us. We heard from the Defense Force. We heard from social workers. We heard from nurses. We heard from teachers. We heard from young people. We heard from people who were in prison, people who came out of prison. We heard from a variety of people who, and one of the important things was it gave stakeholders the ability to speak and make presentations to the government about an idea.
Yes, yes.
It truly gave them an opportunity to be able to be a part of governance. It gave them an avenue on which they could speak. And that's what select committees really, again, are meant to do. That select committee, then Bernard Nordich reported and gave, I recall he submitted a report to the Parliament. That's my recollection. Now, I may be wrong, but because I believe there was a initial report that was made. It may not have been the final report, but there was a first report that he made and he submitted to the Parliament. Yeah, yeah. But there was something that he submitted, because I remember going through it. There was something that he did submit. The second one was the member for Angliston who chaired that committee. And it was a very serious problem that happened in 8 Mile Rock School, where there was a teacher who had been molesting a student unfortunately, for many years. And it had gone silent. And it was only until years later that it was found out this had occurred. And the member for Angliston, quite rightly, said that an investigation should go into the processes and the procedures to find out what went wrong. I believe the member for West End and Bimini was a part of the committee, member for Angliston. We went to Grand Bahama, questioned witnesses. We spoke, I remember we spoke to teachers and principals and Ministry of Education. I believe we spoke to the boy's mother, and we got a comprehensive report and presented that comprehensive report to the government. And the member for Angliston could correct me if I'm wrong, but there were recommendations that the report submitted that were ultimately accepted by the government and made a difference and made a change in the way things were in the education department. So there are useful, very useful purposes for select committees. And this is an issue, Madam Speaker, that I submit is a complex issue. It is not a simple issue. If it was a simple, this is an issue like crime. If it was a very simple issue, then it would have been solved a long time ago. But this is a complex issue that involves many facets that is not going to be solved overnight. But it is also an issue that is not going to be solved just by us. It is an issue that we should be inviting stakeholders to come and let us hear their views, to come and let us understand what their position is. Come and understand what direction we should be taking with respect to this. Come and give us your input. Psychologists, we should be understanding them. The pastors, we should be understanding them. The people who live in these communities, we should be understanding them. The Defense Force officers, we should be understanding them. The police, we should be understanding them, so that we could better serve them, so that we can make recommendations to the government on how we can make things better. We could sit in this place and throw blows, or we could get out of this place and listen to the people and come up with solutions. And I'll be the first one to say, yes, we throw blows. Yes, there are times to throw blows. But this one, today, I don't believe this is a time that we should be throwing blows.
Should be unanimous decision.
This is a time that we have a moment that we should be getting together, as we have gotten together before. And we should show, Madam Speaker, the Bahamian public, there are some in the Bahamian public, not all. There are some in the Bahamian public who don't believe we could get together. There are some in the Bahamian public who believe the only thing we can do in here is row and fight. There's some, that's all they believe. Man, when you all go inside there, that's all you all doing.
Some biking on it.
Madam Speaker,
It shouldn't be y'all, it should be us.
we should show
Not y'all.
that on this issue, we should be able to put aside our political differences and sit together and listen to the public and come up with a solution and come up with different recommendations. Madam Speaker, this also has real economic impact. What is going on in the shanty towns have real economic impact. It has economic impact in our schools, economic impact in our healthcare system, economic impact in our business licenses, economic impact with when we collect our VAT, with the amount of resources that we put in for the Defense Force and the amount of resources that we put into immigration and the amount of resources that we put into the police. It has real economic impact. But you know, one thing that I don't know if we know yet, that I believe the Select Committee can help us in, is understanding what that real economic impact is. It can help us to understand what are we losing from this coming to the Bahamas, or this challenge, this crisis coming to the Bahamas. What are we paying out extra in our education system? What are we paying out extra in our healthcare? What are we paying out extra in terms of police and immigration officers? Social services. We should be understanding what we are paying out, so that if we are going to pay this money out, so that we'll know how to do it. But yes, that is true. And we didn't do it at that time. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah. But what I'm asking is for us to get together to do it. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking for us to put aside our political differences and work together for once. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm asking for. That, I believe, is the right approach for us to take in immigration. I believe it is the right approach for us to take for immigration. That's what I believe. I don't believe I have the solutions.
The Select Committee will find a solution.
I do not. And that is the point. The point is, we should not believe that we are the ones who have all the solutions.
Thank you.
That is the point. The very point that we are making is, through the Select Committee, we are going to be inviting stakeholders to give their input, so together we can come together with the right solutions.
That's the idea.
That's the whole point.
That's the idea.
So, Madam Speaker, I won't take very long because the reality is, I do not believe, and they have not said it yet. I mean, no one on their side has said that they will not support the resolution, and it's the committee, the forming of the committee. It is also a bit surprising that no one has yet said whether or not they will support it, but the reality is, and there was a point that was made just before I take my seat. There was a point that was made about the time, and it's not a defined time, and so on. And again, you know, as I could recall, and again, the member for English and the Western Bimini could correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall there being a defined time until the committee was formed, and then the committee prescribed what the specific terms would have been. And they then, because it was the members of the committee who set parameters for themselves. But quite frankly, there's nothing preventing either side to get together. If they were minded to agree, there's nothing preventing either side from getting together and saying, you know something, we don't have all day to do this committee. We want the committee we believe the committee should be able to report back in X period of time. And then they put it to the side. And then we may say, well, okay, we would like to have it for this period of time. And then you come to some agreement that if a select committee is going to be formed, it will be formed for this particular time period. let's get together and talk about it. No, if you were open to having a real discussion about forming a select committee and a time frame for a select committee, then I'm sure those of us on this side would sit down and agree today the terms of that select committee. So unfortunately, we can do that today. We can resolve that today. We can resolve that today. But, Madam Speaker, again, it is unfortunate that I believe we are going to miss an opportunity. Yeah, my opinion. Yeah, I believe we're going to miss an opportunity to do something that I believe other governments on either side have not been able to do.
But let's not miss another one then.
And so, Madam Speaker, I support
Let's not miss this one.
the creation of this select committee. I believe this select committee, with the right membership, with the right motives, with the right parameters, I believe this select committee could make a difference in this country. I believe that this select committee, which would involve, by the way, the majority of the government, because the select committee is done with the same makeup as the parliament. So I believe with the members from the government side and the members who are appointed from the opposition side, I believe that if we get together, that if we put our collective minds together, and that if we listen to the stakeholders, if we listen to the people, if we listen to the experts, if we listen to those people who are most affected by the problems. Because sometimes we miss that, in that the people who are most affected from the problems, unfortunately, are not the ones who get to meet with those who make the decisions. So, Madam Speaker,
Keep going.
Madam Speaker, again, my position is that I support the formation of this committee. I've sat on 2 committees before, and in my view, both of those committees that were put together by the opposition at that time, that both of those committees did good work, that both of those committees, I believe, my view, was successful in bringing issues to the forefront, was successful and particularly the one for 8 Mile Rock, was successful in providing solutions to very complex and serious problems. And I believe that if we did the same, we would have an opportunity to make a difference in this country. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member Azmini. The chair